Tanse, hello, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, however you're listening to this podcast. Thank you for supporting the work that we do. The UDRCast is a full-time job, takes a lot of work. I have a lot of people helping me, supporting me behind the scenes, and basically really trying to support the people who listen to it. I do the UDRcast out of the passion of my heart, and sometimes, it gets hard to make it happen. But we as a team try to join forces and get the content out. So I'm just asking you from my heart, if you have an opportunity to maybe help support the podcast through donations, a cup of coffee a month, a cup of coffees a month. Check out my Patreon account. We're accepting subscribers and donations there. Also, if you want to click onto my website, BILLWARDLIFE, there's a button there, it takes you to the Patreon. And, if we're helping you or your family or understanding, just think about giving us a hand up so we can keep creating great content. And if you have any suggestions on what you might want us to talk about, leave it in the comments on the website. Thank you. Hi.
Welcome to the UDRcast, coming at you live from the recovery capital of Canada, from my 10th Street and 12th Avenue studio apartment. And today I have a pretty special guest, the guy who behind the scenes puts it all together, Mike Todd. He puts all the videos together, he puts all the clips together, he does all the editing. He's been part of my journey for the last probably 2 years. Well, you've been part of my journey for about 5 years. But as far as the business part of the journey, you've been an integral part for probably the last 2 years since it's been just taken off. So welcome, buddy. Good to have you here.
Thanks, man. Good to be here.
Right on. What have you been up to lately?
Well, we're about to move. Just back in Alberta to pack some things at my mother-in-law's house and get rid of stuff, and then making a move to Nashville. So that's top priority right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
When's the last time I saw you?
I mean, I came over here in December and I slept over the night.
Oh, yeah.
And we had a conversation at this table.
Yes.
Till about 2 a.m., smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee. And I still have a note on my phone of some of the things that we talked about.
Yes.
One of them was that you should always introduce yourself with both names. You never say, "Hey, I'm Mike." You say, "Hey, I'm Mike Todd," when you shake somebody's hand.
How'd that work for you?
So far, so good.
Yeah?
Yeah, it feels more pro.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while. So we're talking 7 months.
Yeah, it's been about half year. But of course, we talk on the phone.
Yeah.
Probably like once every couple days. Emailing.
Google Meets video.
Google Meets video, which you sometimes show up to or sometimes don't.
Roger.
But yeah, we're in communication a lot.
Roger.
But it's always good to see you in person. Something happens in person. You know what I mean? It's like when you're at a meeting, say, online versus in person. There's something magical that happens when people are together,
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a energetic connection.
Mm-hmm.
How many years sober are you now?
13.
13 years.
13 on April 7th was my 13th. Yeah.
Life's pretty good for you today, eh?
Fucking great, man.
Nice.
Yeah. Love life.
Where have you been lately? What does the last year look like in a nutshell? And don't let too much out of the bag, because I kind of want to walk through it later.
Yeah. I mean, last year has been the best year of my life. Easily. Hands down.
How come?
What's happened? Last June, we were, and I say we, my partner Opal and I were living in Canmore. Had been there for a few years, living in a townhouse, and we decided to give up our place and basically just hit the road. So in June, we left, and since then we've lived in Victoria for a little while. We came back to Canmore, played some festivals last year, folk festivals, And then we went to Nashville for a month to check it out. We were in Ireland for 2 months in the fall. Came back again at Christmas to see family. Back to Victoria. We were in California for a month this year. Just really going after it. You know, like certain visions, ideas, ideals, really. Like, oh, this is, you know, the flag on the top of the hill. And we're just like climbing, trudging towards that vision, that ideal. And yeah, it's been a year that I've never had before in my life. And a lot thanks to you, a lot thanks to Opal, my partner, her mom, just people who saw this maybe inkling inside of me. And they're like, yeah, something's in there. They, you know, people see things that I can't all the time. And, you know, started a few years ago with Opal being like, hey, like, you should be a musician full time. Like, that's where you're your happiest. That's where you're your best. And just like little pieces like that along the way that...
How have you overcome the fear of financial insecurity and the fear of the unknown? And, you know, and sometimes people see the gifts within us better than we can see them ourselves, because a lot of us have like worth issues and, you know, the ego gets in there. How have you overcome these things? And has it been more so in the last while, or has this been a way of your life always?
No, more so in the last while, for sure. And it starts with others, right? Like I heard that, I mean, we can talk about a little bit of the history of how I got to that place, but you hear that all the time in meetings, like God walks and talks and shakes hands in AA meetings, right? These messages come through other people, I find, at first. And when I'm actually listening to the good things and the challenging things, right? It's like, yeah, there's that, oh, you should be a full-time musician message. But then there's also like, hey, Mike, like you have a problem with money, or like, you know, quit your job, you know, your full-time job. The way you're working isn't healthy. These challenging things as well. But when I'm listening and I'm open to it, and, you know, I'd go through the process of talking with others, seeing if there's like shared experience or what they did, and then actually taking action on it, then I always come out the other end a better person. So it hasn't always been that way. When I'm trying to do it on my own, or when I have a narrow view of things, or it's just so short-sighted, right? And I can't see, and I don't know. But in what my experiences is that I break on these things and bottom out with these things the same way that I bottomed out with alcohol, which is I tend to struggle or hold on to something or trying to control a thing. So say, you know, finances, like you just mentioned. I'll try and like hold on to it tightly, and I'll try and figure it out and save all this money to buy a place. And, you know, oh, I don't want to eat out, or, oh, I don't want to treat you, or whatever. I'm holding it to myself. And then I bottom out with it. And I did a few years ago. So I bottom out with my like character defects the same way that I bottomed out with alcohol, through struggle and pain and suffering. But then on the other side of that is action and change that kind of like brings me to the point of where I'm at today. And I still have things that I'm going to bottom out with, you know? But I mean, to answer your question, like, yeah, it's hasn't always been that way. And in the last couple of years, I'd say a big thing as well has been just, yeah, faith in that process, faith in that vision, in that ideal. And that it like, dude, it works out. It balances out no matter what.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know.
And watching other people.
Yeah. Yeah, like
have
you.
that faith.
Totally, man. I'm blessed. I'm gifted with so many people in my life today who are amazing examples of what I just said and more in action. Like people who are doing it, you know?
Roger.
Yeah.
But you say it hasn't always been that way, right?
No.
Were you afflicted with a lot of like old family belief systems, ideologies, and what was it that didn't allow it to always be like that?
Yeah, and you talk about that expertly and really well. Is like, growing up, it's family ideals, or ideas, society ideas, of like what you're supposed to be doing, or these are the markers to hit if you are to be viewed as good or successful or on track. And even honestly for myself, right? Like I had these ideas for what I should be doing and trying to control that myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it always just led to frustration. And it's like, like saying that this week, it's like all the fears that I used to have. So like fear of losing a job, fear of kind of losing family, fear of losing friends, fear of losing partners. It's when I really was like scared of those things back when I was drinking. Ironically, they all came true.
Yeah.
The things that I was running away from always caught up to me or met me at some point. And nowadays with like, a new way, it's like I run to those fears, as opposed to running away from them. And the opposite happens. It's like none of them kind of like come true.
It's kind of like the old adage of, if you worry and pray about the things that are going to happen that seem bad, you're actually praying for the worst possible outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're putting it into the universe and you're manifesting exactly what you don't want to happen.
Totally.
Right? And now you've really learned how to like manifest it the opposite way.
Yeah, dude. I heard this great thing. It's like our minds are fertile grounds. The same way that a farm, the soil, is like fertile ground.
Mm-hmm.
And what you plant in that soil is what's going to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because it'll accept it and it'll make it happen. It'll manifest it, right? So if you look at a farm, if you want to plant something positive like corn or wheat or canola or whatever it is, that's what's going to grow in time. Mm-hmm. But if you take the opposite, say you plant something negative like a nightshade, which is like poisonous, or weeds or whatever it is, that's what's going to grow. Mm-hmm. And our minds are the exact same thing. My mind is the exact same thing, is that it's a fertile ground. And if I'm planting positive seeds in the mind, that's what's going to grow. But if I'm planting those fear-based seeds, mm-hmm. or like thinking of, as you said, like praying or being scared of something, that's what's going to come out, right?
Roger.
And it is real, man. It is
real.
Totally real.
Yeah, we have a lot of conversations about this spiritual journey and how to take the steps to overcome the fear, and
mm-hmm.
and it's been a fun journey, eh?
It's been the best.
Like our friendship and us journeying together, and we both believe that Creator put us in each other's path to kind of help each other and in our passions, eh?
Oh yeah, me and you, man. Like we were placed together for a good reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't know. You 100% just on my end of things have made me level up and evolve and change and like put these things into action. Like the last year is a really great example of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I don't know, I like to think that I've
of course you have.
the same thing.
Of course you have.
It's like we look around at this studio, or it was not like that a couple years ago,
Yeah, I wouldn't have this studio probably if it wasn't for you.
Yeah.
To whatever level, right? So now that
it's gonna get bigger and better, man. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Just like visions of like, I don't know. Yeah, there's some good big stuff coming down the pipe for both of us.
Yeah, I feel that, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll look back at this moment, right? This conversation, this time, and be like, whoa, like, look how far we've even come from there.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just each day, it just little bits at a time.
Mm-hmm.
We just keep adding to that. that pile, right? That vision.
You know it.
And then yeah, in a couple of years you look back and you're like, wow, like look how far it's come, you know?
Hopefully. Sometimes creators like, no. Let's kind of humble you a little bit here, and let's take you back to ground zero. Why are you doing this? And so, hopefully, I don't get humbled.
Yeah.
I'm ready for it if it happens.
Yeah.
Now that we know how good life is, and we'll talk about more of that good, I guess, seemingly good. Let's go back in your life, because this is a recovery podcast, and you are a recovering alcoholic and have been for 13 years now. But let's go back into your old family life and kind of walk through and look at the progression of your illness and what your family was like, and like kind of walk us through.
Yeah. So I was born in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Grew up there for the first 5 years of my life. Good parents, great kind of like home life. We moved to Calgary when I was 5. But still had family back in Manitoba. And every summer, some of my favorite memories of growing up or being a kid is every summer we'd go back to Manitoba. My mom was a teacher, so she'd have the summers off. And we had a family cabin on a place called Falcon Lake. So it's kind of the border of Manitoba and Ontario. And yeah, just fishing with my grandpa, going on hikes. Didn't have like too many amenities. Like it was like a cabin that was built by my great grandfather. So yeah, those were my favorite memories. Grew up in Calgary. I guess, yeah, flip forward to, I discovered alcohol when I was 14. And I should say that, you know, there's definitely alcohol in my family or around the house. We never say, like in the program, like if somebody is or isn't an alcoholic. So I wouldn't label my parents that way, but they drink, and on a regular basis. And so, yeah. And I mean, same thing. That's not a unique story. Is like, I just felt different, felt awkward, shy, unsocial, didn't really know where I fit in. I definitely had tendencies towards like, yeah, obsession and just like chewing on things mentally. I was really great student, did well in school. But when I was 14, we were visiting family in California. My mom's cousins, they live in Silicon Valley down there, really successful. And I remember I was in downtown San Francisco. My cousin got off work. He was like a VP of some company, and driving home, stopped at a gas station. It was Friday, and he's like, oh, like he got like this tall boy Guinness at the gas station, because they sell booze down at the gas stations in the States. He's like, do you want one? And I was like, I felt kind of like ready for it.
How old were you?
14.
Okay.
And yeah, so I just said yeah, and had it on the way home in a brown paper bag, and felt great, felt amazing, felt like on cloud 9, man. And got home, told my parents. They're like, yeah, and they had in their fridge in the garage, they had a fridge stacked of tall boy Guinnesses, and they're like, do you want one with dinner? And I had a couple over dinner. And then everybody kind of went to bed, and I just kept going back and forth. I was sleeping on the couch, back and forth to that fridge all night. And I was on like, I think it was MSN Messenger or something like that, chatting with friends at home. And all of a sudden I felt funnier and like able to like talk to people better. And it was just my answer. Like it clicked in. This is what's been, I felt missing, right? And even coming into AA, flip forward years later, we talk about that, and I always described it as this hole or this void, right? This big black hole that I had. And I'd just shovel alcohol into it, is what I would do. And nowadays we shovel great things and positive things into it. And I don't even feel like I have that hole anymore. It's kind of been like done over. Like construction has happened and it's like a paved road, or it's not there anymore, if that makes sense. But for a long time, I was just trying to just shovel alcohol into that thing. And it was fun. I mean, you know, like there's good times for sure. And
your brothers, how many siblings you have?
so I have 3 younger brothers.
Yeah.
And I was an only child for 8 or 9 years. And then my parents had my other 3 brothers in a few years after that. So yeah, I've got three younger brothers.
Okay. And so they were quite a bit younger as you were growing up, and as you're drinking your first beer and kind of getting into it, they were very young.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so there was, to some degree, there was a disconnect in that age bracket, and like how you guys related in the world because they were so young. So you were kind of navigating this path on your own. Was there any other friends or anything that were like doing the same things, starting to drink? And
oh yeah, just high school parties and stuff like that. But I'd always kind of just take it. It was me and this other guy named Michael, also last name T, which is funny. I won't say his name on the podcast, but we were just known as, I think, the like heaviest drinkers
no way
of our group. And and then that's where it starts, like repercussions start happening, right? And it's like, I remember at one party, I was drinking like I normally do, and I was talking, you know, to people like the same way that I'm talking to you, or at least in my mind, I was talking in a normal way, or I was functional, and then just the next second, boom, hit the floor, like passed out, like from standing to like passed out, hospitalized, first time in the hospital.
How old?
That probably was like 17, 18, kind of hazy, but somewhere around there, in high school sometime.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, my solution was like, okay, I'm not going to slow down or stop my drinking. I'm going to wear a hockey helmet to parties is what my thing was.
Serious?
Yeah, so I'd wear like a hockey helmet, so in case I passed out, I wouldn't bonk my head, you know, because I think my head got kind of messed up. I was hospitalized.
So you actually wore a hockey helmet out drinking?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, dude. And that was like, yeah, it's just those things that we push past, right? It's like, you hear that all the time in our program. It's like, that's the clear indicator of loss of choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that there's warning signs that pop up in life. So whether it's, you know, getting a warning like that, ending up in the hospital bed, or, you know, warnings from doctors, right? I remember the doctor saying like, dude, like, slow down. Like, he was talking with me and he said, seemed like you got a pretty good head on your shoulders, bright future, but like, just cut back on this. Or like warnings from friends or, you know, parents. Like, I remember my mom just like pleading with me to, you know, stop or slow down, saying like, we got this in our family, and warnings from partners or the law, or like whatever the warnings are, these stop signs that for like a normal person, they would listen to or yield to, right? And they would be able to stop or slow down.
Mm-hmm.
But me, it's like, I went to the liquor store like that the morning after I was hospitalized. I bought a bottle of Jack with like a hospital band around my wrist, you know? So it's just like blow past those stop signs. And that's like one of our clear indicators of, are you or are you not an alcoholic? You know?
Yeah. We don't remember what alcohol does to us. We just remember what it does for us.
100%.
And that just overrides everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's strong, right? And it'll seemingly even override like survival instincts, I feel, is where it got to, for me, is like just being half in this world and half out in a way. And that lie, the delusion, just overrides it.
And your parents could see that this was becoming problematic?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they would start stepping in and say things?
Yeah.
And what would you say? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it just carried on.
Yeah, and I mean, like, after that first time, or I don't know, like, I ended up, I think, a couple times in the hospital, and coming up with these plans, these like fixes. And it's like, they told me to go to AA for a while. And it was always a big like F you or no way. I'm going to go to a psychologist and get this straightened out. So I go to a psychologist and I would not drink for like, a little period. But then I remember I started going to the psychologist, and I think after I was like, okay, I'm not going to drink for like 2 months. I said that on the first session. And then next week, I think maybe a month is like good enough to prove that I'm not. And then on the third session, I have like a can of Coca-Cola that's half Jack, half Coke. And I'm talking about how I've got my drinking problem kicked or fixed, Insanity. Just total craziness, man.
Did your therapist know you were drinking on that spot?
I don't know. I've never asked them. Probably. I would imagine so.
You didn't out yourself.
What's that?
You didn't out yourself.
No, I didn't tell them like I just walked in with like Jack and Coke.
Jesus.
Yeah.
And how old were you?
Then I was probably about 20. Yeah. 19, 20.
Already in therapy for really alcoholism.
Yeah. Dude, I crashed quick. So I came into the program when I was 21. And then came back when I was 23. And that's the last time I came back. So I'm 36 right now. Yeah.
So you were hardcore young.
Yeah.
And your brothers were watching you as an older brother, and you were you much of an older brother?
I mean, I tried.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And, I'd support them in hockey or baseball or, try to be involved in their like growing up in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
But then, I mean, the tail end of my drinking was I lived in Scotland for a year. And when I say a year, it got cut short, but I was supposed to be there for a year for school. I was doing a study abroad program at the University of Glasgow. And it was bad before then, but that's when it really just got off the rails. Cause I was like, okay, getting those warning signs from everybody around me, friends, family, etc. And I just felt the need to leave this place. So the geographical cure, as we say. But then when I went over there, it was like all bets were kind of off, And that's when it was like I drank like wine in the morning with breakfast because I was in this like communal living area. And I thought it looked like apple juice, or I thought other people thought that it was apple juice. So I drink wine in the morning till about like 11 or 12. I drink beer in the afternoon, kind of be going to classes. And then I drink, I really loved whiskey. That was my drink of choice. And so I'd drink probably like, I think I was about a 2.6 every 2 days. So like about a Mickey every night.
So you were drunk in school a lot?
Oh, all the time. Yeah. Because again, I was like, it makes me a better writer. It makes me a better reader. It makes me a better just going out, right, into the world. I just couldn't feel like I could do it unsupported. And it felt like alcohol was that support system for me. So just walking out the door, I kind of felt like it was necessary. It was needed. I remember like one of my first meetings, I remember a guy talking about, a lady talking about, she really loved to be drunk doing laundry. And I was like, that's my lady. Like, that's what I like. Just like normal kind of everyday tasks. We're always just like better while drunk,
That's my lady. Doing laundry drunk.
That's my person
perfect.
there.
Normal everyday tasks, just better drunk.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, dude.
And when I think back to my drinking when I was younger, because I actually quit when I was 22, but before that, like doing everyday tasks hammered, I actually didn't like it. I wanted to just go drink and like leave all these tasks alone until like I was sober.
Right.
And if I started drinking while doing the task never got completed. I would just go somewhere and drink and get drunk and find others who were on that path too. So just listening to that is very comical to me.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess it kind of evolved into that, right? Like at the end, it's, I mean, it's a scary, dark place, as we know, and very lonely and isolating. And I mean, towards the end, it was like blinds down, door locked, lamp on, bottle out was like my favorite place. That's where it kind of like ended up. And yeah, just that oblivion, right?
So what else happened in Scotland?
Well, so I mean, yeah, just talking about the being kind of half in, half out. Like I was just like, I can't keep going this way, you know. Like it was just so, it hurt so bad. Was struggling, suffering, and not wanting this way, you know. But still, I just felt like I needed to drink, even though I didn't want to drink. You know what I mean? And so I hit that place that we do where, yeah, I just was thinking about not being here anymore. So kind of like went through an attempt in Scotland, and then my real kind of bottom was in Dublin, Ireland, on St. Patrick's Day, where I was like traveling with friends, and you know, I had been drinking like 5 days or something leading up to that, and drank a lot on that day. And I was I like operated some construction machinery. There's like a scissor lift, and I just hopped on there and started operating it myself, and people were like, yeah. And but anyways, towards the end of the night, tried to hang myself, and the cops came, and I went to the station. I saw like a staff psychiatrist at the police station, and then I was transferred to the main psych ward in Dublin, Ireland, which I didn't know the name of until I mentioned like some of the great things that are happening nowadays. I went back to Dublin in the fall, and I figured out the name of that place. It was called the St. James Hospital, and it was right by the Guinness factory. It's like right beside the Guinness factory in Dublin, their main one.
Guinness comes from Ireland?
Yeah, it's in I think it's invented in the 1700s or something like that. It's been around for a while.
Raj.
Yeah.
So you ended up in the psych ward.
Yeah. And so I was there for a bit, and then
What was that like? What was it like being in the psych ward? And you're like,
dude, I don't even remember, man.
No.
Yeah. I was so hazy. And I like, there's just snippets that I remember. I remember the doctor asking about like emergency contacts, I think. I remember then, I think talking to my parents. And then I remember talking to those cousins in California. And I had this deal. I was like, yeah, I'll come back to Canada. They wanted me back in Canada to be like safe, because this is my second attempt in a while, right? And I was like, I'll come back as long as I can visit, you know, my cousins in California, because I really, really enjoyed like being with them and looked up to them. And I think they just agreed, and yeah, somehow I got on a plane. I think it stopped in Chicago, and then I was in Calgary. And then my idea at the time was to lock myself in a room for like a month to stay sober. But then I started going out, and through a mutual friend, a friend of mine, he saw what I was like, or knew what I was like. And a friend of his was in AA. And he's like, you got to talk to my friend, Ian. And Ian was the one who brought me to my first meeting and was my first sponsor when I was 21.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a quick decline from your first drink to 21 years old.
Yeah, it happened fast. Wow. I was like, and I mean, same thing almost today, right? It's like when I do something, I'll go for it. And there's like there's a lot of like qualities that are ingrained in me, like, or that obsessive nature, or, you know, a persistence or a stubbornness, right? That like when I was drinking led me to those, like the gates of insanity and death, right? But if I just rechannel some of those things, it's like now I apply them to work or, you know, life, and yeah, it just produces obviously like way better results,
No
you know?
doubt.
Yeah.
So you didn't stay sober at 21. You had to do more research.
Yeah.
You'd been introduced to 12-step recovery by then.
Yeah.
Did you understand what 12-step recovery really was, or were you not really able to hear what it was, but you were just kind of there listening and not really bought in yet, or?
Yeah, dude. So like, I mean, I was going to a meeting that was heavy on the book and heavy on the steps, heavy on sponsorship, and got into it and did a set of steps.
In Calgary?
You bet.
Okay.
Yeah, in that first couple of years. But my issue was that I didn't start sponsoring others. And I mean, lots of the principles hadn't really like sunk in. I was still pretty young at the time as well, you know, 21. And so when I went back out again, it was literally just for a day. It was on my birthday when I turned 23. And I drank a 2.6 of Jack on the side of a hill in Kensington. I called my sponsor, and he just took me to a meeting like that night, and I got back into it like right away.
So you went to the meeting hammered, and
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
then you didn't drink and you got back into it.
Yeah, I remember that meeting too. It was like in the basement of this cafe in Kensington here in Calgary. And I remember like the thing that really cut through the noise of my mind was people talking about the spiritual solution. You know, like it was like people who talked about like how much they drank or when they drank and how bad it got and blah, blah, blah. Like all these things that I was just talking to you about now didn't register with me in that state or in that moment. Because it's like, I know that. I've lived that. I get that. Tell me about how to get better from this. Like, tell me the way out. Tell me the answer that you have. And the people that were talking about the spiritual component really stuck or cut through that night for me.
That's trippy, bro.
It's like a siren song, right? Like, you know, siren song, it's like those sounds or those stories or those lyrics or those words that will just cut through from miles away is like a siren song. And it's like, that was a siren song to me. And yeah, I've been in since then, and a lot has, you know, changed and since then even, but that's really when I came back.
And so you did get a sponsor.
Yeah.
And you worked your first set of steps with that first sponsor?
Yeah. Ian.
What kind of sponsor was he?
He was great.
Yeah.
In the book, by the book. He had a great sponsor. And the three of us actually got together. So Ian, me, Kevin, and we'd like kind of go through the steps together. And honestly, like a big part, like I love that dude and still love that dude. I haven't talked to him in a while, but I really hope he's doing well. A big thing that he showed me was music, actually. So he was a musician and an actor, but I go over to his house to work on the steps every week, and he had a guitar. And, you know, sometimes he'd play it, or I'd go out to watch him play shows sometimes. And it just got me really curious about music.
And you didn't have a guitar, and you had no experience with that at that time.
I bought a guitar when I lived in Scotland, and I didn't play it. I had kind of known piano. And there is, a thing about my family is that it is very musical, other than my parents, which is kind of funny. It kind of skipped a bit of a generation. But on my dad's side and my mom's side, I have grandmas, great aunts, great uncles who are like very, very musical. And some of them brought like music to like, on one side of my family, it was like Irish and they went to North Dakota and then up into Saskatchewan, and they like started like music schools. Some of the first ones in Regina. So music is like in me, but again, it kind of almost just like awakened something that I knew was there, but hadn't fully explored yet. And I mean, in sobriety, like I've gotten a master's degree in music, and it's what I'm chasing as like a full-time thing right now. Largely due to like, I'd say Ian.
But you couldn't play back then.
No.
So you just watched.
Yeah.
And you wanted to play.
Yeah.
Or at least try it out.
Yeah.
And so you keep working your steps, you're in program, you're doing the deal, and I know you're a phenomenal guitarist today.
Thanks, man.
That's all self-taught through. How did that even happen?
Well, just watching him, watching things on YouTube, like, yeah, just like going after it, and little by slowly, you know, learning. The first song I learned was "Hurt" by Johnny Cash. Quite a simple song. It's like 3 chords and really simple, and
That's a 9 Inch Nails song, actually, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So it's a cover of him singing the Trent Reznor 9 Inch Nails song "Hurt." Yeah, so small kind of like simpler songs, I guess, to start with, and then getting more advanced. I mean, in recovery, I started like volunteering at the Calgary Folk Festival my first year in recovery. I started volunteering at the local radio station, CJSW, the campus and community radio station. I got a folk music program, so I became like a radio host, and I just started diving into that world. It's a big part of my recovery, man. Like in terms of like, we talk about getting in touch with spirit and getting in touch with that spiritual answer entity. And there's a couple recommendations that the program gives, but then we go off and we find like, oh, I really find it in nature, or I find it in being a mechanic, or whatever it is. And for me, it's music. I just like had the strongest connection to something, and folk music in particular, old folk music. It was just something about it that was like, it was like a full meal to me, like steak and potatoes. It was like when I listened to it, when I consumed it, I just felt full, right? And that void, right? That black void, that black hole was getting full from, you know, that was one component of it. But it's a big component for me is music.
And at what stage did you start really exploring music in your sobriety journey?
All the time, from the start.
Right from the start,
Yeah, man. And I started then I started learning like mandolin. I started like making these kind of like demo recordings and putting them out to the public and putting on shows, and, you know, getting a little bit known locally through my radio program. And things started building almost immediately.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so those first number of years, like, as we look at your 13 years sober now, as you look at like the first, let's break it up into like 3 segments, maybe like 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, and 5.
Sure.
What does each third of your journey look like? And like maybe some big turning points at like certain points. Because for me, when I work with people in recovery or I bring the message, I'm like, okay, your first 2 years, you really got to be doing the things, right? Service and meetings and your own personal inventory, working with your sponsor. That first 2 years, your first year especially, but often the second year looks a lot like the first year. But then what I find is the third year or the fourth year, it's usually the third, it has to shift and it has to change. And why I say that is because a lot of the deep-rooted stuff starts coming up that the first 2 years of you distracting yourself by kind of ingraining the processes into your life and like building this new life in a sense, you're distracted, but the organic process of the deep subconscious and some of the stuff that needs to come up, it comes up around the third year, so it has to switch a bit, right? And then, you know, it does the same thing in about year 4, 5, or 6, and like you're constantly having to adjust. What did it look like in all the years you put together?
I mean, the first third, I'd say, if we're just talking about the program recovery, was a lot of, doing the things, trying my hardest, for sure. But I'd say it was a lot of almost like parroting, like being a parrot. You know, re-saying things that I heard other people say and saying like, oh yeah, my life's great and it's taken off like a rocket. But it actually wasn't really that way yet, you know? It was a lot of, repeating things, sponsoring guys I started getting into, which was really helpful. But again, the same way, it's like I just sponsored guys. I had my sponsor, Adam. He would take me through like step 1 stuff on a Wednesday night, and then I'd have a sponsee on Friday night, and I'd take him through step 1 stuff. And so I'd just kind of repeat exactly what was shown to me. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like I'm not judging it or myself looking back. And I think that is a lot of how people learn. Right? Is like by mimicking others and like trying things on. It's like, oh, do I want to, dress like this or speak like that or live in this place or play like that? And a lot of it is just mimicking until we find this like collection or quilt or soup of like the ingredients that we're like happy with, right? But the first 4 years was for sure a lot of that. And moving into the next 4 years, I'd say, I don't know if it may be questioning, but I started to just ponder like, oh, is this the way? Like, should I like just be mimicking and like doing that and just trying to find? So I got another sponsor, Daryl, who I remember I asked him, first meeting, I was like, what kind of rules do you have? Because I was so used to like all these rules, like you got to meet me at 1 meeting a week and you got to call me at this time each week on this day. And that was so helpful too in my first 4 years, was having that structure. Because when I came in, I'd feel like I didn't know what day it was, right? And I didn't know, like, should I wear a black or a white shirt? Should I drink coffee or tea? I was so lacking in decision-making skills because I messed it up so bad that I was just so, like, Bambi, just, like, shaking legs. Like, what do I do? Where do I go? What do I say? And to have those real strong men in my life at that time just take me by the hand and be like, this is what we do. This is where we go. This is the answer. Like really strong. But then flip forward to that second 4 years, Daryl, I said, do you have any rules for me? He said, no, man. He said, my job as a sponsor, he said, is just to ask you the correct questions so you come to your own answers. And I was like, my own answers? I couldn't believe it because I was so used to being told the answers and then living in that way, like acting on those answers. And I was like, wait a second, I'm now at a point where I can maybe start exercising my will, I guess, as it were, my thoughts, as long as it's in line with this spiritual thing. He's like, yeah, like, and just so like, I'd say laissez-faire, like hands off. And, it was me calling him as opposed, you know what I mean? And it was beautiful, just a totally different way.
At around 4 years though.
Yeah, I think it was like 4, 5, 6, something around there for sure. But it was definitely in that second, third chunk as you described.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty big trait to recognize that it takes a number of years to groove this into your life properly, where you can get to the point where like you are able to make like good decisions on your own. But still have enough wherewithal and like understanding that we still got to take the questions to the sponsor.
Yes.
And then they'll usually know how to ask us the questions so that we can come up with the answers on our own. Right. And at certain times, like I know for me, for example, I'll strongly suggest something if I see they're not getting the answer on their own.
Yeah.
Or if wishful thinking and rationalization is garbling their decision making, but they can't really see it.
Sure.
I'll strongly suggest something. But at the end of the day, I'm of the advocate of like, you got to live your life and you may have to make mistakes, but they're not mistakes if you're willing to grow and to learn. Although you might feel like you're taking 2 or 3 steps backwards, and you might be, but you don't really, because you learn a deep level of humility through the experience of making that choice.
Totally. That's a total thing, man. And I mean, for me, I was so scared to make a mistake because I had made so many. It felt like when I came in, you know what I mean? I messed it up so bad. I felt that I was so scared to make a mistake in those first 4 years. I remember, story, my first sponsor, Ian. So I was living in Toronto at this time, kind of like 4-ish years in. And I went back to Ian as a sponsor. I was getting my master's degree in music at the time. And I'd go over to his house, same thing. We'd do like step work or we'd have a coffee. And he lived in this like 4-plex building. It had 4 doorbells. And he told me what number he was in. But I was scared. I didn't know which doorbell was his. And I called him on his cell phone. He's like, dude, why didn't you just like try a doorbell? And I was like, well, I was scared to like ring the wrong person's door. He's like, you got to make mistakes, man. Like, it's okay to like ring the wrong doorbell. It's okay. But that's how scared I was of like making the wrong move because I had messed it up so much. Mm-hmm. But as you say, we need to make those mistakes. And I now know that, like all these years later, mistakes are great. It's like somebody said, it's like if you want success in life, part of success is failure, is failing hard sometimes. Mm-hmm. So fail and fail fast. And if you want to increase your rate of success, so say you want to double it or triple it or quadruple it, you simultaneously need to increase the rate that you fail, right? So if you want 2 times the success, you need to fail twice as much. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I didn't know that until like literally recently, that it's okay and that it's positive to like fail and make mistakes.
So more so recently.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess let's get into that. And anything else in that second phase, like big learning, teachings, anything?
I mean, that was the biggest one for sure, is kind of like not on my own, because obviously it's like you say, it's like I was talking to my sponsor, but it just like, there was like kind of a more, I don't know if independence is the right word, but it was just like, oh, like there's this other way to kind of do it, because I was so used to this one, very rigid, structured, rules-based kind of way, which, again, I have no judgment towards, and I actually think that it's needed for a guy like me in early recovery, is to have that real, like make your bed in the morning, like that military kind of like rules. Let's meet up at this time. Don't be late, like to get me back on the tracks of life. Because I was so deep into the woods.
Yeah.
Right? If you picture like train tracks going through the Rockies, it's like I was up on some mountain, man, way far away from the tracks. And those first 4 years got me back on the tracks, on track, right? But then in the second 4 years, it was like, oh, like maybe there's a bit of a different way here, Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you remember when we first met?
Yeah, so that first meeting, my first home group in the first 4 years, I have a memory of meeting you there. We talked about this like last year or something like that. I have a real strong memory of it. It was like you, and I think you hung out with like Paige, and you were off on the side or in the back. And I remember going up and introducing myself and meeting you then. But honestly, like, I feel like you're a bit of an apparition, like, in my life. You're like, it feels like you've always been there, but I can't really pinpoint exactly the moment or the memory or the experience, Because now flip forward to the last 4 years, when we've really been together. It was when I came back to Alberta after the pandemic, and yeah, going through more changes at that point and being like, oh, like there's something more out there, something deeper, to this way. And that's when I texted you and I called you. I remember calling you outside the Canmore Library and we talked. And that's when we started where we are today.
Yeah, I remember that, I think, we had
Yeah.
a lot of talks in that early piece of us actually working together. We talked a lot.
Yeah.
So into your third section, which is basically the section where we've been together. What's that been like?
Bottoming out with character defects.
Yeah, let me give my take first. As we started working together, for whatever good reason that you needed to like work on some things, and I could still be pretty hard ass then, and I've not always been a hard ass, but I have been a hard ass, and I can be. And I remember us doing some work together at the beginning, and you just had problem after problem, and they just weren't going away, and I could just see that you were the creator of these problems, right? And then we'd chat, and then eventually one day I just fucking lost it on you. You remember that day?
Well, there was a couple of them, I feel.
Yeah.
I remember one day in the park here close to your house, we like sat on some lawn chairs, and you really like were honest. But honestly, going through those first kind of couple meetings or multiple meetings with you, I learned that, and I told that to you. I said, Bill, I don't need to get I feel like at this point, I don't need to get cut down or told what a shitty piece of crap I am and how I'm wrong. And that has been the last 4 years, actually, is like, come in, and rightfully so, I hear what a problem I am. And I needed to know that. I needed to learn that. That needed to get smashed into my head.
Yeah.
Because when I first came in, I didn't know that, right? But then you go through like 8 years of being like, I'm the issue, I'm the problem. But then it's like, oh, what am I good at? Or how can I get like built up a little bit here, as opposed to getting cut down so much, right?
Yeah.
And to like, because I'm so hard on myself, man.
Yeah.
I'm the hardest out of everybody in this world. I am the hardest on myself, and have been for my entire life.
Yeah.
I hold myself to this crazy standard that like I've never been able to live up to, and I'm always chasing.
Yeah.
And for the first little while, I viewed that as such a negative thing. I was like, oh, I can't make it there. I can't do it, even though I want to, right? And now I more view it as a positive thing. Like we started talking about that flag on the hill, right? And now I'm like, okay, this is positive. This is like a never-ending journey. I'm just constantly going to be chasing the top of that hill.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's good. But at one point, I wasn't told that, or I didn't believe that in myself. It was more of a negative. And so the last 4 years has been, really building up positive things.
Yeah, and for us, it took those severe conversations where maybe I was a little harsh, and then you making the commitment to stay working with me instead of running, and then me having the open-mindedness or the humility to fucking see where I was wrong, and then us like working that out. And me working it out with my creator, you working it out with your creator, and then finding the lessons that are positive, but not ignoring and being like pushing away the lesson or the defect, right? And then that was a big turning point in our relationship, and it was a huge turning point in like me supporting your music and me supporting your relationship and me supporting like all different aspects of you.
Yeah,
right?
dude. Yeah. And that's so if I am one thing, it's persistent as fuck. Like I will do if I'm like, hey, this is what I'm doing, or like I'm with you as a sponsor, or like whatever the decision is, or I'm drinking, or I'm whatever. So it used to be a negative, right? It was on my minus chart. I persisted. The persistence of this illusion is astonishing. But now I have persistence in all these other areas, and I will persist with something because I'm stubborn, right? Like qualities from my parents. Like my mom is hyper competitive and very stubborn, and I now use that as a positive thing, right? And my dad to a certain extent as well. But yeah, it's taking those, like, they used to be on the negative side of the chart, and then seeing, okay, how can I get help with this? Talking it out with others, helping others as well, really like smooths out those defects and the process. But then somehow I've found that they just turn into these now positives in the last few years. And so persistence, stubbornness, maybe obsessiveness, consistency. You bet, man.
And through that type of like attitude, which I think is a normal progression in a sense, like self-love becomes something.
Yeah.
And through the loving of oneself, by kind of taking these negative attributes and like turning them into positive attributes, we begin to self-love ourselves, and you're no more beating yourself with the club. And now it's like, okay, I can make mistakes, and I'm not going to die, and I'm not going to drink, and I'm going to learn basically a lesson.
Yeah.
Life is seemingly good and seemingly bad. We don't actually know what's good or bad in some of these things that we do, and some of the ideologies behind of why we think they're bad. It's an illusion, right? And they're actually good. So we can see everything shift and change, and then so self-love really gets built through the later years of recovery. I don't honestly think there's a ton of self-love in the first 2 years, even though we can have more self-acceptance, I'll say. But real self-love comes like when the shift is there.
Yeah.
When you understand that maybe mistakes are not mistakes.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, man. So yeah, and your self-love is really manifested, and most alcoholics are their biggest critics. Some can't see it. You've always seen it. But in the last like 3 years, probably 2 years for sure, you've really manifested like a lot of self-love and a lot of positivity, eh?
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, belief, Belief that then turns into like faith. The same way that it happened with that spiritual answer. It's sort of like in a way happening with myself now, if that makes sense. And yeah, first started with others, telling me, like, around me, like, and really listening to others around me. And then through, action and failing and making mistakes, but then having success, and it just keeps snowballing, where I'm like, oh, okay, like, yeah, this is like, believe in yourself. The things, I think that's what keeps me back most in my life, if I'm really honest, is my perception of myself, right? People are held back by their perception of themselves. If you're told you can't do something, like, you won't do it, right? But I mean, AA has taught me that, I can do anything is possible, and everything happens for a reason, right? One of my first sponsors, Adam, he sat down with me. He said, Mike, my life is based on 2 pillars, that anything is possible and anything happens for a reason. He said, anything's possible. That means I believe if you really wanted to, you could be an astronaut. And I believe that fucker. He's like, it might take you a while. There might be some physical tests, and you got to really dedicate yourself to it. But he said, if you really wanted to, you could be an astronaut. And I was like, whoa, like, and now it's starting to like really click in the last 4 years, is that anything is literally possible.
Yeah, dude. And I really believe that to a high level too. And now that we're kind of here and we're at about the 1 hour mark, I want to kind of talk about like the spiritual journey for however long it takes, about like these last 2 years of like you like quitting your career, moving to Canmore, making these decisions, jumping off the cliff, the conversations that you've had, the the jumping off the cliffs is really what it is, and trusting God and really like sharpening that intuition instead of like too much pros and cons and common sense and, you know, the old beliefs that kind of run some of the pros and cons and common sense, and for you to like free yourself of those ways and like what it's been like to like follow your passion and your dreams and like, you know, maybe let's start at let's go back 2 years ago.
Yeah. Well, I mean, main ones, I started hanging out with you. And by example, and through even your story of like quitting your job, I mean, the first main one was quitting my job. I was working Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, job for a non-for-profit grant organization. It was a great job. Like, I have nothing against it, and they do really good work. But I was in the communications department, and yeah, those little voices, those little like golden threads of like Opal's like, you should be a musician. You too, quit your job, like, and just giving me that pass, I guess, to do it. And I quit in March. I had no plan. I had no idea what things were going to look like. And started like
what was that like? Like, what was the fear? And was there fear, or did you have some trust?
God, yeah.
It was a lot of fear.
Oh, totally. I mean, my biggest fears are like financial insecurity and being home, like not having a place to live, and or like those are my main two.
And those go fully against your family implied value systems from your family.
Yeah, right? Yeah, totally. So yeah, like quitting it, there was like a lot of fear of like, yeah, where's the answers going to come from, you know? And just these things, they start off like quiet, right? Like they're just like these little whispers. And so it's like, oh, like, you know, I started editing audio for a friend of mine's podcast who I helped him start it years before that. Mm-hmm. And then that became like a full-time contract for me. And that summer that I quit my job, I got like a bunch of grants to record my first studio album. Did that, released it at like Festival Hall here in Calgary, the Calgary Folk Music Festival venue. Yeah, there's a lot of these. Like, I mean, when I started in recovery, I volunteered at the Calgary Folk Festival. And then to like release an album at their venue X amount of years later, like a decade later, was crazy, you know? It was like sold out. Like you were there that night and just beautiful, you know? And so, yeah, started like listening and doing these things. And if there's one thing I am as well, it's that I do shit. I'm a doer. Mm-hmm. So I started like, instead of doing the 9 to 5 thing, I started doing these other things, right? And instead of putting so much like thought and effort into, you know, their business, I started putting it into like me essentially, and like my business that I started.
Do you remember those early days where we would have the conversations? I'd be like, don't do this music just for you, bro. Mm-hmm. You do this music for the people that are listening. Yes. Really try to remember why we're trying, what we're doing and why we're doing it. Yeah. And don't do this to get rich, and don't do this for these reasons. Like really, like it kind of, I'm going to quote a line out of the big book. Never am I to pray for myself, except on my request bore on my usefulness to others. Yeah. Then I may expect to receive, and that would be in great measure. Yeah. And it's like, do things for other people and you will receive, and in great measure. And it may not be in the physical world. Mm-hmm. But my theory is that it will manifest into the physical world when you actually let it go on the inside and you do it for the altruistic reasons, which may not start fully altruistic. Yeah. Right?
100%. And I've had that with music for a long time, is this same, you know, steak and potatoes meal, like that fullness that I feel when I listen to old time folk music, very specific kind of niche genre. But that same feeling that I got when I was brand new in recovery and like starting to listen to these recordings or starting to volunteer at the Folk Fest, starting to, have a program at the radio station, my main goal was to pass that feeling off to other people. That same feeling of fullness that I receive when I listen to the music, I want to give people that. Like it literally, like it makes me feel great, like it fills me up so much. And I just want other people to feel that. And I'm the same way with step work too. It's like this stuff saved my life, I feel. And I want to give that away to other people. And I'll do whatever I can to move mountains for somebody who wants it, right? And it's the exact same way with music for me. It's like and in that way too, that's one thing that I love about the genre of music that I play, is that in a way it's like not mine. Like people can write their own songs, and I feel there is a degree of selfishness in being a singer-songwriter. People are like at an open mic and they're like, I wrote this song on, the swing of this tree, and I was, like they get into this whole story, and it feels very like self-involved and about me, right? But folk music, it's the exact opposite of that. It's like these songs have existed for sometimes hundreds of years. And my goal or my duty or my job in the process is to just pass it along, right? Is to keep them going, to keep them alive, to keep them past alive, to keep them thriving and surviving, in a good way. And so that I view as my job in the realm of music, is that I love researching these old songs, changing them just slightly, making arrangements, bringing them into the modern day, I guess, as it were, and passing them along and keeping them going. And that in that way, like, it's bigger than me, right? It's bigger than me as an individual. And I love that. I love that about this genre of music.
Yeah, that's amazing, bro.
Yeah.
So where else have you jumped off the cliff? Where else have you taken a big step or a stride where people are like, dude, you're crazy?
Well, the first one, was the job. But I'd say the second one pretty quickly after that was like finances, of, having my way, my control, my like tight-fistedness on something, and then just bottomed out with it. The same way that I bottomed out with alcohol, that struggle, that pain, and made some changes. And it's like today, somebody said a couple of weekends ago, they're like, money is just such a common thing. It's so common. It just comes and goes. And like 2 years ago, I would not have thought that. Like 2 years, it's like, I need to hold on to this. I need to save this. I need to be smart about it, blah, 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 blah. And today there's just like this like openness. My hand is open, and it comes and it goes. But it was kind of a learning that took place after like pain and struggle, And then this last year, not knowing, like we gave up our place in Canmore, coming full circle to how we started this conversation, gave up our place. There was just a couple things that I was like, okay, that'd be great if this happened, but I had no clue, dude, what was going to happen. We just like gave it up and started to go, And my mother-in-law, Jessica, told me this great story. We went over to her place and we told her this plan. And just such a beautiful person she is, and my partner is, other kind of parents or people might be like, you're crazy, like you just said. But she was like, supported it, and she told me this story of this, I've never seen it, but a scene in the movie Indiana Jones. She's like, Mike, there's this scene where he's like being chased through this cave, and he comes to this cliff, like where there's like this black abyss in front of him, and he can't go back. He has to go forward, but he can't see like what's out there, or there's like a fear of maybe falling into the abyss, right? But what does he do? He takes a step and a stone appears under his foot. And then he takes another step and another stone appears. And it's like, that has been the last year for me. Is like stepping into the abyss, the unknown, the I don't have answers here, and a stone appears, and then another stone appears, and it just keeps going and going and going, because I can't go back, right?
And
it's like,
and I think one of the stones that didn't appear that you expected to appear actually helped the other stones appear. Remember on that?
yeah,
You'd made all the arrangements to go to Ireland, and you're like, yep, this is happening. I'm putting all the pieces in place. And you had to rely on a grant coming through.
yeah,
And it didn't come through.
yeah,
And that was a stone that didn't appear.
Yeah.
And then you were falling, and you actually fell pretty hard the day of,
yeah,
right? And then it was a miraculous and it wasn't miraculous, but it was miraculous that within 24 hours of that first phone call I got, you called me back. And you were a different human.
yeah,
You had so much acceptance and faith and trust in your God that I knew you would let it go of the body.
yeah, yeah,
And then the stone started appearing, because Creator doesn't really work like that. I found
100%.
that was a trip.
Yeah. So the specifics is that I signed contracts with like a world-class studio in Dublin and a world-class producer based out of Dublin, Ireland. And that in itself, me going back to Dublin 13 years later, after being in the psych ward the last time that I was in Dublin, is just like night and day, man. The fact that I was there as a musician recording in this beautiful facility with this great producer 13 years after I was like locked in the St. James psychiatric ward is crazy. And that was a big premise or like reason to go there. But anyways, signed contracts with them, didn't have the money at the time, just believed. I was like, it's something just with this whole project or that whole year felt like divinely inspired. And it still does. I'm like, this thing can't go wrong. It's so perfect. And it still is to me, right? But yeah, I was in, we were in New Orleans at the time, traveling, and I got the answer that I didn't get this big grant. And I was like, I don't know the word that you just used, but it was maybe a nice word to put on it, because I went just full on down, like panic mode. And for a good 24 hours, called you, Opal saw it. But then the next morning, again, it comes from others. Like God speaks through others to me. And Opal's like, no, like, what about this? Like, there's these ways to do it. And, we can cobble together. It can come through this way. So, and you talking to you, same thing. You came through with something, right? And it's like, it came through, but not in the way that I thought. I thought it was going to come from this like one way.
But I didn't come through for a week.
Yeah.
But you had accepted it so well the next day.
Yeah, yeah.
That it was like what Adam told you. Nothing happens by mistake, bro.
Yeah, 100%.
And you just knew. There was a knowing in you. Like you were so different, bro. The next day.
Yeah.
Because you had spun, and then you unspun, and you were on a different plane. And I hadn't given you my thing until 4 days later, let's say.
Yeah.
So I didn't even really know, because I was praying on my stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
But that's an example of it in action, right?
Yes.
Right? Is that like once that change happened, and luckily like it happened, and that's as we go through recovery, these bounce backs happen faster and faster, right? Where I used to like go down for like 2 weeks or whatever it was, months, whatever. It's now like the bounce backs become faster and faster. And so once that bounce back happened, and I'm in this totally different perspective of everything happens for a reason, anything is possible, then that's when it started to get like attracted, right? It's the story of life, man, 100%. Even recently, right? It's like getting another grant, and I open the email. I'm not worried about it, because I'm like, if this year is one lesson, it's like, it doesn't matter. It always just comes through. So looking at that, but then it does. I got a yes. And it's like that stuff attracts, like attracts like, I think.
Because you were in such a different place. A year before, you're like, this better be a yes, and it was a no.
100%.
Now it's like, if it's a yes, it's a yes. If it's a no, it's a no. Okay, let's just open it and it's a yes. And then it's just like, and how I found out was 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
That's not normal for you.
No.
Usually it's call, dude, I got the grant.
Yeah.
But because it's not the same and you're not the same, I didn't find out till we were just shooting the shit one day. You're like, oh yeah, I didn't tell you I got the grant.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, dude, just for you not telling me, I know that that's like so much growth. Right?
Yeah. And who did I learn that from? You.
A little bit from me.
Yeah, people in my life, right? It's like pillars, as you talk about, showing me, oh, there's this other way. Like, I don't have to freak out or like put it all on the line of like, if I get a no from this, that's it. The world's ended. Dude, when I started like doing grant work for you and you got a no.
You were more pissed off than me.
You throw that like, that emoji where the person's hands are up like that?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, so it didn't go through this time. That's cool. And I was like, my eyes just went wide. I was like, how can you not be devastated by this? And you're just so cool about it. And so, yeah, you showing me a lot in terms of, financial insecurity, that fear will leave us, right? And I see it through you and your actions. And I started to like do it. And then I'm like, wow, okay, this is real. This is the way to do it,
And the lesson lies within that whole situation. And you had said, okay, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, whichever one it was at the time, you're like, he just gets back to practice.
Yeah.
And we just went back to practice.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. And we don't get too down about it. We don't get too up about it. We're just kind of doing the thing. And that allows us to be more present in the journey, because the thing isn't the thing. The grant isn't the thing. The thing's not the thing, right? The thing is the journey to the thing that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Right? And really the thing is, how can we serve?
Yeah, totally. The climb,
The climb.
You gotta love the climb, man. What's that like? Everybody wants the view. Nobody wants the climb.
Raj.
You gotta love the climb.
Gotta
And that's
love it.
so true. I love that story. Like, so my name is Michael, right? And I go by Mike. But there's some really competitive Michaels out there, like Michael Jordan, Michael Jackson, Mike Tyson. There's something about Michaels. And I think it's because there's so many of us out there. There's like 4 Michaels in my class in elementary that we really got to be competitive to like stand out, But Michael Jordan, when he came back after his baseball stint, they lost in the playoffs. And it was a story from his trainer, who wrote a good book, which I'm starting to read right now. And his trainer said, usually after he'd exit the playoffs, most players will take like a good month off just to like go to their house and relax and sit on the beach, go on the boat, drive around, whatever it is that they do, just to take it easy for a bit, right? And so he says to Michael, give me a call, like whenever you're ready to start. And he was expecting him to say like in a month or so. No, like Michael Jordan said, I'll see you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. And he just got back into the gym right away. And then that year after, he won a championship, the first of his next 3. Yeah, his 3-peat.
Wild, bro.
And that's persistence.
Right.
That's persistence.
You know it.
Yeah, in the face of a no or a loss, a seeming loss, right? Or failure, just continuing. Keep going, keep growing, right?
Yeah, and I love the line, there's no plan B.
Yeah.
And we talked about that years ago, right?
Yeah.
And there isn't one.
No. Yeah, you love that. I love that too.
I love it.
In the book, so another like, I don't know, name drop, but book that you recommended, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. I mean, my favorite story out of what I've read from that book is he talked about, I mean, was it Vikings or, something like way back in the day. And this one guy, he was like taking his guys to war, and they got in a boat And so they had to cross like, I don't know, the ocean or the river or whatever, body of water to get there. And the first thing that this guy did when they landed in their boats, he burnt the boats. And they won because there's no way back.
Mm-hmm.
He burnt the bridge back home.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Me too.
Burn the boats, man.
Burn the boats. Okay, bro, we're going to have to wrap this up. But, you know, I know because I know you so well, there's so many things in between the conversation that we had that just, you know, we just don't have the time for. But I'd love to get you back on in the future again and just kind of rehash maybe some of the other teachings and lessons that we didn't get to talk about. And I know that you're jumping off the cliff right now. You're selling all your shit. You're going to Nashville with no real plan other than the thing that's not the thing is kind of driving you.
100%. Yeah.
And I'm excited to see where you and Opal go, where you end up, what kind of data you collect, and what kind of God shots or no's run into your life.
Yeah, man. Likewise. I mean, like, yeah, we're doing these little things each day, right? And it's like, what's life going to look like in 3 months? I don't know. Or like even a year or like 3 or 5 years from now. Who knows, right?
I have no idea.
It's just like...
And I'm jumping off a cliff too. I jumped in on the merchandise thing and like, it's pretty scary. But
even like jumping off the cliff when we started like doing stuff together, you know, a couple years ago,
yeah.
right? That story of like, that was like, that was a big investment at that time, was to like really start leveling these things up. And now look at you, man, like just what's happened for you in the last year. Same thing. Like honestly, man, I think that we were put in each other's lives for a really, really good reason.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, we just keep going back and forth, you know, up and up.
Yeah, bro.
So yeah, we'll look back on this and it'll be something else, you know?
Fuck yeah. Okay, bro. I love you, man.
Yeah. I love you too, Bill.
Thanks for coming out and being on here.
Thank you.
It's going to be weird editing your own episode though.
We'll do it.
Okay. Yeah. And thank you, Tamara, for always being in the background, doing the things that you do and always showing up. And Tamara is the one who runs the mixer, the video mixer. And she's a good friend of mine, just an amazing, beautiful human being. So thank you, Tamara.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Peace out. Have a safe trip.